The hormonal key to fat storage metabolism, expert Dr. Ben Bickman, explains that body fat doesn't simply increase because we eat too many calories. It expands when insulin levels rise. In my lab at BYU, Dr. Bickman says, we grow fat cells in Petri dishes. Those cells float in a nutrient-rich medium with all the calories they could ever need. Yet, they stay tiny until we add one thing: insulin. The moment insulin enters the mix, the fat cells begin to swell. 6 hours later, you can already see large lipid droplets forming. Clinical studies confirm this phenomenon. Insulin directly drives fat storage, proving that obesity is primarily a hormonal issue, not just a matter of willpower or calorie counting. That's why traditional methods, restricting calories, or doing endless workouts, often fail. Real progress starts when you lower insulin and improve metabolic balance. One striking example comes from young people with type 1 diabetes. Some develop an eating disorder called diabulimia, where they deliberately underdose their insulin to stay thin. Even if they eat freely, as long as their insulin stays low, they don't gain fat, though they suffer severe health consequences like ketoacidosis. This tragic condition clearly demonstrates that without elevated insulin, fat gain is nearly impossible. The insulin trick: outsmarting your metabolism. Many experts advocate fasting as a way to control insulin, but Dr. Bickman notes that fasting requires discipline and may not be sustainable for everyone. Instead, he proposes a simpler approach, what he calls the insulin trick, using smart eating habits to naturally manage insulin levels. For example, few people realize that insulin is already high when you wake up, due to the dawn effect. As your body prepares to wake, cortisol levels rise, signaling the liver to release glucose. This elevates blood sugar and insulin even before you eat. That's why the morning hours are a natural period of insulin resistance. What does this mean in practice? If you eat right after waking, your body is more likely to store that food as fat rather than burn it for energy. The first 2 hours after waking are the most sensitive time for fat gain. How to apply it? To take advantage of this knowledge, don't eat immediately after waking. Wait at least 60 to 20 minutes before your first meal. Use your natural energy. Do light activity. Stretch, walk, plan your day, or start work. Let your hormones settle. Once cortisol and insulin levels drop, your body becomes more efficient at using food for energy instead of storage. Your mind and body are sharpest in this window. Use it. Then, when you eat, do it calmly and slowly. That's the real insulin trick, not starving yourself, but timing and awareness that keep your metabolism on your side. Rethinking breakfast. The morning metabolism reset. Don't start your day with a sugary, carb-loaded breakfast. Instead, turn breakfast into a mindful ritual, something slow and intentional. Let the aroma, the rhythm, and the act of preparing food gently ease your body into digestion. This approach resets your metabolism and sets the tone for a healthier, more balanced day. Dr. Ben Bickman explains that one of the simplest yet most powerful steps you can take is this: change your breakfast tomorrow. Overnight fasting is naturally therapeutic. While you sleep, your insulin levels fall, allowing your body to become more sensitive to it again. By morning, you're in a naturally low insulin state, a perfect setup for fat burning. The last thing you want to do is destroy that advantage with a starchy, sugary breakfast that sends insulin soaring again. As Dr. Bickman points out, breakfast today has practically turned into dessert, full of sugar and refined starch. To fix that, all it takes is one conscious decision the next morning. The cortisol connection. Why sleep and stress? Cortisol, your body's main stress hormone, is tightly linked to your circadian rhythm and sleep quality. When you don't get enough rest, your body perceives it as stress, and cortisol levels can spike 2 or 3 times higher than normal the next morning. That cortisol surge triggers insulin release, making you feel hungrier, more irritable, and more likely to crave sugary foods. It's not lack of willpower. It's your biology reacting to stress. Inside the brain, cortisol crosses the blood-brain barrier and activates glucocorticoid receptors in the hypothalamus and amygdala, regions that control hunger and reward. It boosts appetite by upregulating neuropeptide Y, NPY, and a agouti-related peptide, AGRP, chemicals that make you feel hungrier. At the same time, cortisol suppresses leptin, the hormone that signals fullness. To make matters worse, cortisol increases dopamine release in the brain's reward centers, heightening cravings for high-calorie, sugary, or fatty foods. This is why, after a poor night's sleep, even disciplined people reach for donuts or coffee. The coffee trap, a hidden insulin spike. Most people think skipping breakfast but drinking coffee is harmless. But caffeine, especially when combined with carbohydrates, can raise insulin significantly, even without food. Dr. Bickman cites research showing that when caffeine is paired with glucose or starch, the pancreas must release much more insulin to handle the same amount of sugar. In the morning, when cortisol is already high, this can amplify your insulin response dramatically, and that early spike can stall fat burning for hours. That's why it's best to wait before your first cup of coffee. Let your hormones stabilize first. Give your body time to use its natural energy reserves rather than forcing a hormonal roller coaster the moment you wake up. The morning advantage: how to apply the insulin trick. Dr. Bickman's insulin trick isn't about extreme fasting or complex diets. It's about understanding how your hormones behave and timing your actions around them. Morning is the one time of day when your insulin rhythm is predictable. Use that to your advantage. Delay your first meal by 60 to 90 minutes after waking. Avoid sugar and starch for breakfast. Opt for protein, fiber, and healthy fats. Wait on coffee until cortisol levels have naturally fallen. Get good sleep so cortisol stays balanced and appetite under control. This isn't a quick-fix miracle. It's a foundation. When you start your day by respecting your body's hormonal rhythm, you create conditions where fat burning becomes easier, hunger fades naturally, and your energy remains steady all day. It's not about restriction. It's about harmony. Once you align insulin, cortisol, and metabolism, your body starts working for you instead of against you.